subcontract the services under this agreement without the prior written consent of the mayor and the police chief. The mayor and the chief of police shall provide contractor an approved list of subcontractors to use, i.e. a list of contractors contractor may use for summer trailer, large vehicle tows if contractor doesn't have the equipment to perform these services. So again, the motion is sort of designed to say if this needs to happen, we're creating that list of subcontractors by picking 2 of the 3 that were named in the original motion. But I would read into that to say that if I don't approve somebody tonight, that there's still an approved list of subcontractors that could be used, that would be provided to whoever gets this contract, and therefore should never be a concern that we're not going to have enough equipment somewhere to perform the duties, south end, north end, whoever we're talking about. Now, I didn't negotiate this contract. I don't know if that was the intent of this, but the thought process behind the motion of having 1 and listing 2 is in part dictated by the ability to have subcontracting as long as it's approved by the mayor or the police chief. So Mr. Johnson, you're concerned about the police chief having the ability to dictate or organize or not lose control. I would think that item 10 in the contract would prevent that from happening.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
That's partially correct. The intent of that is to clearly state that the approved vendor has no authority to just bring in a subcontractor. It's just a clear statement that no subcontracting. The intent of approving more than 1 is to vet all that now. If they approve a subcontractor on the fly, we're not doing the background, we're not checking the facilities, we're not doing all the things we're doing right now. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to say to the city of Taylor, we have a primary, they're going to be called for virtually every call, but when they're not available, you have a secondary. And they've gone through that same clearing process. That's the intent of what we're doing. By adding the 3rd one, we're saying that all 3 of these companies finished within 1 point of each other in terms of the rating, the scaling. Every one of them are approved. They all have a different specialty that they're really good at. They can all be of value to the police department and police chief. That's the purpose of having 3 in front of you tonight.
Okay, is there any other discussion from council on this item? Councilman Johnson.
And again, back to Mr. Pizarro, I'm asking him for a friendly amendment to take that out of there so that we can move forward. I'm willing to compromise from 3 to 2. You're going from 1 to 2, and that's all I'm asking.
I'm comfortable with the motion as I read it, and I'm comfortable that the contract as it's written is going to make it possible for us to provide the towing services that are necessary in the city.
Councilwoman Katz.
So are you saying that if with that word heavy in there, that J&M is only going to be doing heavy because it's the secondary?
My intent with that language would be that area does all of the primary and that J&M does heavy duty, and based on the wording in this contract would also be allowed to do secondary if the mayor or the police chief so designate.
Councilman Johnson.
Again, your statement says that they're going to do another contract with your motion. Now I want to ask the city attorney, is that what you're reading into this? To the administration?
I would agree with Councilman Johnson's view on the matter. So yes, I agree with your position.
Well, hold on, what's his position? Because I am understanding that.
Based on his interpretation, that how he reads it, that it is. I think in my opinion, I think the proposal needs to be written as it is, and I mean, I'm happy to suggest language based on that. If you guys want, it's really all leave it to the council's discretion.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayor.
But we again, I want to go back to what I said earlier. We have a proposed contract in front of you guys. If you guys, in my opinion, if you want to take out one of the vendors, that's perfectly fine. But we have a proposed contract in front of you. It doesn't specify heavy duty. It just specifies primary and secondary. We have to have the discretion to run accordingly. We can't get into who defines, or get into the, it's not what the contract says. I understand what Councilman Mazzura said, what his intent was. feel much more comfortable with the motion mirroring the contract of if you're going to move forward with 2 or 3 or 1.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last. More comfortable with us doing what?
The motion mirroring the contract, that's what's put in front of you guys. Not going back, I don't know, I guess if I go back and, if I'm charged with the responsibility of negotiating a contract that satisfies everybody, we're 3 months, or we're 3 years into this already. I'm not good at guessing, I just want to know, I think we have a contract that's more than fair, that's why we brought it forward for you guys now.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Missouri.
And I would say the intent of my motion was to negotiate this contract, so I'm not, to your statement, I'm not asking, I don't think the motion says a different contract, I'm saying negotiated, and the point was to meet all the requirements that have been discussed over the course of the past 3 years since we've been debating this, but if that's this contract, and through that negotiation, every vendor is going to have to meet all the requirements, I'm good with that, and I think my motion would be consistent with that.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor. But I go back to Councilman Johnson's point about the heavy duty, there is an inconsistency because we're not specifying heavy duty, we're specifying a primary and a secondary. No, without heavy duty, light duty, we're just saying we need a primary and we need a secondary. We need to have a clear expectation of what we're delivering, and these are the 2 or 3 vendors that we've agreed to partner with.
Councilman Johnson.
So, then my question again is, we could go back to the original motion and just eliminate 1. If you're good with this contract in everything it states, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I understand council's opinion on.
In looking at that, I just wanted to be clear on the secondary to primary. And so when we're talking about heavy duty, my understanding is not consistent. I want to make sure with that point that we're all clear that, we have secondary and primary clearly defined so that we're not talking about what's heavy duty. So with that in mind, based on what's discussed, and based on this attitude that I'm seeing too, I'm comfortable moving forward with this motion, removing just the third party from it and going forward with the 2.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Councilman Johnson.
So you agree with going with the original one that we just voted down?
Yes, and based on the attitude, and just now that I'm clear on the primary and secondary, I'm fine with moving forward and just removing the third party and voting on the contract as it's currently written. I think everyone, as they've stated, they don't have an issue with the contract itself. We vote on the contract itself based on the third party removal. Is that, Councilman Bashir, am I inconsistent with anything that you are trying to push forward? I understand you want to direct the parties in the administration to negotiate, but I think if we had this issue clarified, then I don't see why we wouldn't go ahead with the motion on the contract if everyone's fine with the kind of clarity of the primary, secondary versus the heavy. So.
Okay. Well, first of all, with all due respect, Corporation Council, I think that this is an issue that I think you confused me and a lot of other people just a second here. But we're talking about this here, which was made a motion by Councilman Bezura in moving forward with this. Yes. Okay. And
You're in agreement with that there?
I was fine with going forward back to the original, after the discussion, going back to the original contract as it was, and just voting on this piece of paper as it was presented. I understand his point, but I think after the discussion, in terms of the heavy versus primary and secondary, that we are fine to just vote on this piece of paper as we discussed, as it is.
So Mr. Chair,
Councilman Johnson.
we've already voted that down, so we're on to this one. So if we can amend that, a friendly amendment, can we go forward with this?
Yes, and I'd say that with the amendment of removing the third party, just to be clear.
But that's up to Councilman Missouri to make that friendly amendment.
okay. Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay, Councilman Woolley.
Mr. Chairman, like I said, my concern is basically, we have 3 vendors here that don't meet the criteria. We've never done a contract like this before. That's one of my biggest concerns. And I just got one more question. Who came up with the pricing?
We benchmarked multiple communities that were similar in size and population of the city of Taylor, and we established the pricing based on those models. To be exact, the what communities, I don't have that in front of us, but there were several, I think 5 different communities that we looked at and we modeled this after. All of them were very much in line with what's being proposed tonight. In terms of this not being like anything else, I agree. There's a lot more detail in this particular contract. That's why I think that, to be fair to everybody involved, we have to allow them some time to meet the criteria set forth in the contract. But again, we would not begin doing business with any one of these people under the new contract until they all meet those requirements.
And that, through the chair, that's what my biggest concern is that there were people eliminated from this, and that is a huge concern of mine.
Mr. Chairman, as I said in the study session, they were eliminated because they physically didn't have property here. It's not because they couldn't provide a reporting system to us. They did not have established routes within the boundaries that were the parameters that were set forth in the original RFP. That was the number. We never even got to the rest of that. After they didn't meet that, they were disqualified immediately.
Councilman Brock.
I have a question through the chair to the mayor. You said that you came up with the pricing by analyzing various cities and what their total prices were. Did they also have the same requirements in their contract with those tours as we do in ours? Because I know that every touring company might have a totally different business model based on what they're actually providing and what their overhead costs are. So.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, they all did have similar. I mean, I can't say specifically exact that they were pound for pound exactly, but they all have. I mean, if you're doing municipal towing for police departments, the requirements are generally going to be the same. A lot of the companies, they mirror the rates and the contracts off of MDOT, their established rates. The problem is with MDOT is they're artificially higher because they're servicing communities that are in rural northern Michigan, that there's a lot more time involved because they have farther to travel, or we're in a 24 square mile box. So we didn't look at the MDOT rates as much as we looked at the other communities. And they were communities like Troy, communities like Canton, communities like Novi, communities like Romulus. I don't remember exactly what they all were, but the general requirements were very similar. And the pricing model, some were higher, some were lower. We tried to look at what the best practice for the city of Taylor and just use those as general benchmarks.
Councilman Brock.
I have a question then in regards to that would be, respectfully, maybe our procurement process is really not defined very well, because I would think that in order for us to make an informed decision, that all of that backup documentation, as far as this price analysis, should that have been